the High Court has wrapped independent MP Navneet Rana in the Hanuman Chalisa row. The High Court has turned down MP Navneet Rana's plea to quash the case against her. The court said that persons in public life are expected to act responsibly. The court going on to say that state's apprehension of law and order problem is justified. The court said that the declaration that the person would recite religious verses at another person's place or at a public place is a breach of the personal liberty of the other person. So that's what the court's saying. Let's go across to Saurabh Gupta for more on this. Saurabh, tell us what the High Court said.
Well, the High Court refused to quash the case against MP Navneet Rana and saying and making very relevant observations, something that perhaps, that all politicians on the loudspeaker issue should take into consideration. Now, what the High Court is saying is that, with power comes great responsibility, and that is in context of the MP saying that she would go and recite the Hanuman Chalisa outside the Chief Minister's house. That essentially led to this whole gathering of people. Now, the Bombay High Court is very clear. It has turned down MP Navneet Rana's plea to quash the case against her. It said persons in public life are expected to act responsibly, and the state government is justified in its apprehension that it could create a law and order problem. Declaration that a person would recite religious verses at another person's place or at a public place is a breach of personal liberty of the other person. And then, of course, it goes on to make that observation: with great power comes great responsibility, and persons in public life are expected to act responsibly. And those that are active in public life are expected to act responsibility is not an extra but basic expectation. Now, obviously, there is a lot of political background to all of this. This case, of course, is related to Navneet Rana, who had said that she would go and recite the Hanuman Chalisa outside the Chief Minister's residence. Now, when we specifically asked the Maharashtra Home Minister today, was she arrested for that? He said no. She wasn't arrested for reciting the Hanuman Chalisa, but for her statements that could create a disturbance in law and order. So, this is, of course, a battle between two Hindutva parties, really, the Shiv Sena and the BJP. The BJP has been trying to dilute the Shiv Sena's Hindutva credentials. The Shiv Sena has so far managed to, rebuff the BJP on that count. And that is why before the all-important BMC elections, you see this loudspeaker issue over Azan and Hanuman Chalisa now dominating the political discourse in Maharashtra. And that is, of course, why you will also see that, this kind of statements by politicians saying, we will go and, use loudspeakers outside mosques if Azan doesn't follow loudspeaker guidelines of the Supreme Court. But now, of course, the MNS also is saying that, look, we only want, Supreme Court guidelines to be followed. But behind all of this, the BJP now seems to be coming out at the forefront of this. Till now, it was the parties like the MNS and the independent MP like Navneet Rana. But the Shiv Sena had alleged that they were proxies of the BJP, but now the BJP seems to be at the forefront of it, with Devendra Fadnavis also saying that they would also chant Hanuman Chalisa if that amounted to sedition.
All right, Saurabh Gupta, we'll leave it there. Thanks very much for joining us with those details.